Hello, I'm Kim Gottlieb, a psychotherapist, coach, and sex educator. And today I'd like to guide you through a little guided visualization practice that can assist with helping us deal with the daily stresses that arise and pass away, but actually help us to develop the mechanism that helps us to settle from things that disturb us. Um, the exercise comes from Peter Levine, who wrote this book in an unspoken voice, and he worked together with someone who studied animals and discovered that animals, when they go into a new field, they are a bit anxious about whether there might be lions and tigers that are going to eat them. But they settle from that stress more readily than many of us. And so he developed this program in conjunction with the knowledge of how animals do this. But first I'd like to just explain that in all of us we have a limbic brain which tends to do a fight and flight. In other words, that when there's an external stressor, we either decide to fight it or to disappear from it. And so it's a bit binary about how it operates. But there's on top of that, so this is sitting about here, and on top of that is the neocortex. The neocortex is the part that goes, there, you'll get through this, it'll be all right. So this exercise is very much to encourage this neocortex response, because for some of us, our early trauma experience meant that we just got stuck in fight and flight. And doing this exercise quite specifically helps us to re-engage the neocortex, and that reminds us that we'll be all right. It has 5 stages to it. The first phase is just looking around the room very slowly. I'm just going to tell you what the 5 stages are, then I'll guide you through them. So you're looking around the room, but you do it slower and slower and slower than you can imagine, just identifying every little thing, not going, oh yeah, I know the room, or oh yeah, but just getting curious about designs and textures and just really focusing and in ways you might not normally do on exactly what's around in the room. And in that phase, sometimes we can just notice that there's a releasing breath. That may not always happen, but you might find over time that it will have a tendency for that breath to arrive, and that is a good sign that there is a neocortex response that's going, which is good. The next phase is to focus on something in particular that you find pleasant. It just needs to be something where you have a positive response. And then you want to notice the body as it responds. For every feeling that we have, there's a sensation in the body. And so you can just notice what the sensation is, and just, or not, but simply to focus on something that is kind of pleasant. The next phase is actually bringing in something that has disturbed you or is disturbing you in your life. Now, you don't want to come up with the most traumatic moment from your history. You want to come up with something that simply elevates your internal process. And you can experiment with that. So initially, you might just think about somebody who cut in on the road, and it's disturbed you maybe in the last couple of days, or maybe you had a fight with somebody or another, or maybe some news upset you on the news or other news that has emerged. And you're just going to sit with that. It's as if you just bring this whole whatever piece of knowledge, a relationship problem, whatever, and you place it just in the center of your chest. It's like you just allow it to be there and just give it space. It's like, okay, so here it is. I'm allowing that to be there, and I'm just being with that in the moment. I'm not trying to work anything out. Just going, this is the problem I'm having with my partner, or this is my concern about not having enough money, or this is I don't want to go and visit these people. Just whatever it is, you just allow it to be there for a few minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. And just tracking what's there and noticing it, and just seeing if you can avoid getting engaged in this story, but just being aware that something sort of disturbing is happening here and that you're just holding space for that. Most importantly, the next step after those couple of minutes is to let that fall away. Now, sometimes, of course, especially if it's pressing, you will want to continue that, and so this active will is a very useful thing to develop. It is that thing that brings in the neocortex response. And it's an active will that says, and now I'm letting that go. And if there's resistance to that, then fine, maybe tomorrow or in the future, that will lessen. And then you simply return to looking around the room, looking to focus on something pleasant. And then finally continue with the first part of the practice, which is just looking around the room generally. Okay, so I'm going to begin that. And so to begin, see if you can place your feet flat on the floor. Find a comfortable position. And just begin to look around the room, looking at the furniture, lines, patterns. Noticing windows and doors, lights, textures. And however slowly you may be doing that, you want to go twice as slow as that. But really slow this down. Now when you're on your own, you may choose to take longer for this part, but I'm going to move us forward to the next phase, which is just finding something as you look around the room that feels pleasant. And as you do, you may begin to notice that the body has some kind of a sensation, maybe not. But just be open to noticing that with that pleasant experience comes a pleasant sensation somewhere in your body. And now we move to the third phase, which is just allowing a troublesome aspect to just constellate in the center of your chest. Knowing that you're going to allow it to be there for some time and then move away. Once again, a reminder that if it feels too disturbing, that you should just try and find either one aspect of it or begin with something more manageable and work your way up to these more difficult challenges. And then, having focused on that for a couple of minutes, allow your eyes to move away and look around the room again, just looking for something pleasant, something that catches your eye in a pleasant way. Maybe the same thing as before, or maybe something else. Just tune into that, and focus on that, and possibly noticing that there is a shifting sensation in the body. Giving this all your attention. If there are parts that are still lingering with the challenge that you are dealing with, just say, and now it's time to move away. And then moving to the final phase, which is the same as the first phase, which is looking around the room, high and low, in and out, every little texture and groove and corner and color, and whatever attention you gave in the first phase, you increase the attention and reduce the speed so it slows down more and more. And to conclude, taking a few deep breaths and beginning to wiggle your fingers and toes. Sometimes a good idea to have a nice stretch. And offer a little gratitude to yourself for your practice. Thank you for sharing that.